Family tragedies, a fallen empire, and restless spirits? Sounds like a recipe for something extremely strange. Nestled in the heart of St. Louis, Missouri, stands an historic mansion with a chilling past, a place where tragedy and mystery intertwine. The Lemp Mansion, once the opulent home of the Lemp family, is now infamous for untimely deaths, ghostly encounters, and the lingering sorrow of a dynasty that fell from grace. But what really happened behind these walls? Who were the Lemp family, and why do their spirits still seem to haunt this grand yet foreboding estate? Lemp Mansion, located in St. Louis, Missouri, is one of the most infamous haunted locations in the United States. The mansion's history is steeped in tragedy, linked closely to the Lemp family, who once owned a thriving brewery empire. The combination of untimely deaths, suicides, and the lingering legends has solidified Lemp Mansion's reputation as a hub for paranormal activity. The Lemp family rose to prominence in the mid 19th century thanks to their successful brewing business, which introduced lager beer to St. Louis. Johann Adam Lemp, a German immigrant, founded the Western Brewery in 1840. His son, William J. Lemp, later took over and expanded the family's operations, building the Lemp Brewery into one of the largest in the region. In 1868, William purchased a luxurious mansion, and the house served as the family's residence, as well as a symbol of their wealth and social status. However, beneath the grandeur lay a series of tragedies that would mark the Lemp family's history. Between 1904 and 1922, four members of the Lemp family died by suicide, each in or around the mansion. These events began with the death of Frederick Lemp, William's youngest son, whose passing devastated the family. William Sr. took his own life in 1904 in his office at the mansion. His son, William Jr., and daughter Elsa later followed suit. Finally, Charles Lemp, William Jr.'s brother, ended his life in 1949. The combination of personal and business failures, including Prohibition's devastating impact on the brewery industry, contributed to the family's downfall. By the mid-20th century, the mansion had changed hands and was eventually converted into a boarding house, further tarnishing its image. The tragic history of the family has led many to believe that their spirits linger within the mansion. Paranormal investigations, as well as personal accounts, have identified numerous phenomena, including unexplained sounds, apparitions, and physical sensations. Numerous witnesses, including guests and employees, have reported seeing a large imposing figure that they describe as William Lemp Sr. This figure is typically seen in the upper hallway near his former office, often standing in the shadows or walking from one room to another. He is described as a tall, stern-looking man wearing an old-fashioned suit, with a heavy mustache and a dark demeanor. The apparition is usually seen as a shadowy form rather than a full-bodied figure, but it's often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of cold, indicating his ghostly presence. The sound of footsteps is a common occurrence that many believe is tied to the spirit of William Sr. These footsteps are often heard late at night or during quiet times of the day, especially near the areas where Lemp Sr. would have walked, such as the grand staircase or the lower floors of the mansion. They're described as deliberate and heavy, with a rhythmic, almost mechanical quality, suggesting that they belong to someone with authority or purpose. The sound is often heard when no one else is around, and on occasion, some investigators claim to have caught the footsteps on audio recordings. Some visitors and investigators have reported seeing a full body apparition of William Sr. in the ballroom of the mansion. This figure is described as a tall, well dressed man with a dark mustache, wearing a black suit and top hat. The apparition is usually seen standing still in the middle of the ballroom, either looking around or staring intently at the onlookers. In one specific case, a guest reportedly interacted with the figure, asking, "Are you William Lemp?" The apparition, according to the guest, nodded silently before vanishing into thin air. One of the most commonly reported occurrences tied to William Lemp Sr. is the sudden flickering or dimming of lights throughout the mansion, especially in areas he is believed to have frequented, such as the main hallway or his former office. Staff and visitors often describe the lights as flickering in a pattern that seems deliberate, almost like a signal. This phenomenon is especially reported when the mansion is quiet and empty, with no obvious cause for the electrical issues. Some investigators speculate that these flickering lights are a sign of William Lemp Sr.'s restless spirit, trying to make its presence known. Some visitors claim to feel an unseen presence in the area that was once the brewery office, where William Sr. oversaw operations. Several people have described a sense of being watched, especially when alone in the room. One guest reported sitting at a desk in the office when they suddenly felt a strong pressure on their shoulders, as though someone was standing directly behind them. When they turned around, no one was there. William Jr., known as Billy, inherited the Lemp brewing empire after his father's death. However, the brewery's decline during Prohibition, coupled with personal struggles, drove him to despair. In 1922, he died by suicide in the mansion's dining room. One of the most persistent reports from visitors and employees is the sighting of a shadowy figure in the third-floor window of the mansion, where Billy Lemp is believed to have spent much of his time. This figure is often seen at night, especially on foggy or rainy evenings. Witnesses have described it as a tall, gaunt male figure who appears to be staring out of the window. Some believe this is Billy Lemp's restless spirit gazing out of the mansion that was once his home, and the sightings have been so consistent that they have become a well-known part of the mansion's paranormal lore. Another peculiar encounter revolves around the basement, a space associated with Billy's troubled mental state and where some reports claim he would retreat during his final years. Visitors and staff often hear loud bangs or thuds coming from the basement, even when it's empty. On one occasion, a staff member reported hearing footsteps descending the stairs late at night, but when they went down to investigate, they found no one. In some cases, the banging sounds coincide with reports of a strange pressure in the atmosphere, almost like the air is being sucked out of the room, creating a suffocating feeling. During paranormal investigations, voices have been recorded that some believe to be Billy Lemp. In one EVP session, a voice can be heard clearly answering questions, including responding to, "Who is with us?" with the name Billy. Billy was also known for his love of cigars, and the smell of cigar smoke is frequently detected in areas where he is said to linger. Chairs reportedly move on their own, and some have heard faint laughter, believed to be Billy's spirit reliving happier times. Elsa, William Sr.'s daughter, was considered one of the wealthiest women in St. Louis. Her life was troubled by an unhappy marriage and health issues. In 1920, Elsa also died by suicide under unclear circumstances inside her home. though her spirit is said to have returned to the mansion. One of the most common experiences linked to Elsa is the sudden unexplainable scent of lavender perfume. Guests and staff report encountering this fragrance in rooms associated with her, particularly the bedrooms. During one paranormal tour, a guest walking through the second floor stopped abruptly, claiming to smell a strong floral perfume. No one nearby was wearing perfume, and the scent faded as quickly as it appeared. Elsa's ghost has been spotted in rooms believed to have been part of her living quarters. Witnesses describe a well-dressed woman with an elegant demeanor, often wearing lavender or light-colored attire. A tour guide recounted a moment when a visitor pointed out a woman in a lavender dress descending the stairs. When the group turned to look, they found no one there. A group staying in a guest room reported waking up to see a faint figure standing near the window, gazing outward. The apparition vanished when they tried to call out. Both guests described the figure as serene but somber. Overnight visitors sometimes report feeling as though someone is sitting on the edge of their bed, despite no one else being in the room. This phenomenon is frequently attributed to Elsa. One guest described waking up in the middle of the night, feeling the mattress stiff as if someone had sat down. They turned on the light, but found no one there. The guest later learned the room was associated with Elsa's spirit. Her ghost is sometimes seen in mirrors, a phenomenon tied to her vanity and sense of elegance. During a ghost investigation, a woman claimed to see Elsa's reflection in a large antique mirror in the hallway. The reflection reportedly showed a woman adjusting her hair before simply disappearing. Elsa was known for her refined lifestyle, and some believe she enjoyed music. Disembodied humming, described as soft and melodic, is often heard in her quarters. A staff member cleaning the area late at night reported hearing a woman humming a lullaby-like tune. The sound seemed to move through the room before fading entirely. Elsa's love for fine things extends to reported paranormal activity involving objects. A jewelry box placed in her room as a trigger object once opened on its own during an investigation. One team member found the box slightly ajar after leaving it closed. They reviewed their recording devices, but captured no clear explanation for the movement. Charles, one of the last surviving Lemp family members, lived a reclusive life in the mansion before taking his life in 1949. His suicide note asked for his dogs to be euthanized alongside him, a request that is added to the eerie lore surrounding his death. Multiple visitors and investigators have reported seeing a tall, dark figure lingering in Charles' former bedroom or nearby hallways. One guest staying overnight claimed to see a shadowy silhouette standing at the foot of their bed. The figure reportedly lingered for several seconds before vanishing. The guest described the encounter as oppressive and felt an intense need to leave the room immediately. During a paranormal investigation in Charles' area of the house, a heavy mirror suddenly fell from the wall, shattering on the floor. The mirror had been securely mounted, and no external vibrations or disturbances could explain the event. Investigators interpreted this as a sign of his volatile energy. Staff cleaning his room late at night have reported hearing a gruff male voice saying phrases like, "Leave me alone," or "Get out." One housekeeper described hearing her name called while she was alone in the room. She fled and refused to return to the area for several weeks. Charles' love for his dogs is often reflected in reports of canine-related phenomena. Guests have heard phantom barking or whimpering near his room, despite no dogs being present. One visitor even claimed to feel the sensation of a dog brushing against their leg while they were standing in the hallway. During a seance conducted in the room, participants reportedly experienced intense activity after reading aloud the contents of his infamous suicide note. Objects in the room moved slightly, and one person claimed to feel a sharp, cold breeze pass by their neck. Charles' spirit is sometimes associated with aggressive behavior. Several visitors have reported feeling a light shove while walking through his quarters, often near the door or window where he spent much of his time in isolation. One investigator claimed their arm was grabbed forcefully during an EVP session inside the room. Neighbors and passers-by occasionally report seeing a figure standing at the window of Charles' former room, staring out into the street. The figure's description of a tall man with a stern expression matches historical photos of him. These sightings often occur late at night when the mansion is empty. Staff members have occasionally found Charles' room inexplicably locked, despite no one having touched the door. On one occasion, the key to the room went missing for several hours, only to reappear in its usual spot later. This event is often attributed to his spirit asserting control over his space. Today, Lemp Mansion serves as a restaurant, inn, and event venue. It also offers ghost tours and overnight stays for thrill seekers eager to experience the paranormal. The mansion's haunted reputation attracts visitors from across the country, contributing to local tourism and keeping the tragic story of the Lemp family alive. Despite its dark history, the mansion remains a cultural landmark, bridging the gap between historical preservation and fascination with the supernatural. Guests often leave with a mix of awe and unease, having experienced the blending of history and the paranormal. The story of the Lemp family and their mansion is one of wealth, ambition, and heartbreak, an enduring tale that leaves us wondering how much of the past truly still lingers in the present. One thing is certain: the Lemp mansion continues to captivate, intrigue, and inspire curiosity. And to this day, it stands as a monument to a bygone era and a chilling reminder of the mysteries that time can't erase.